welcome back, everyone. What are we excited about for winter quarter? All right, quick show of hands. Who's really hoping it snows next week? Who's really hoping it does not snow next week? Do we boo people? Do we boo people when they don't want snow? What? Is it kind of like when someone gets up here and they share they want 5 kids and everyone just goes crazy? I come from 4 kids. That felt normal. 5 does not seem like that big, but y'all acted like that was crazy. All right. Hey, my name is Mike. If you don't know me, I'm really excited to be back for winter quarter. I just need a new year. Anyone in here feel like me? I just need a new year. I don't necessarily need a whole new me, but I need a renewed me. I need God to do something in me this year, and I'm excited the Seahawks are still in the playoffs. Let's go. But I'm excited about that. I'm excited about what a new year can bring. I, like you, kind of hit the reset button and think, okay, it's 2020. I did not think I'd ever make it to 2020, but this cool 2020 year's got to have something good. I'm hopeful for the year, so I get really excited with the newness that comes with the season. But I'll be honest, I also get really nervous this time of year. I get nervous because, first of all, my gym gets crazy packed with people. I know I haven't talked about community fitness in a while, so we'll bring it back. Hey, but I don't mind. I don't mind that it gets packed with people. I'll tell you what I do mind, though, about the New Year's resolutions is, are you being covered right now with the onslaught of advertising to you? Oh my goodness. I don't know if I just haven't paid attention every single year, but I feel like every time I open my phone, it tells me that I need to lose weight to be an okay person. I actually get really nervous. This is not a joke or a New Year's resolution thing. I didn't mean to, but I might go off on this tonight. I get really frustrated as a college pastor that loves you. You know what I hate is watching the bombardment of advertisement that tells you that you need to be a certain way and look a certain way in order to be a person worthy of love. Can we just be real for a second? I mean, we do know that the diet industry is spending $66 billion a year trying to get you to believe that you are not good enough the way you are. Right? We do know that this goes directly against the message from God that you are good enough just how you are, that He created you, designed you, you were created in His image, and you don't need to do anything or lose a bunch of weight or do something crazy this time of year in order to be a person worthy of love. I think some of us came in here tonight because we need to hear that. Because every time we open up Instagram, it tells us that there's a secret way to lose 20 pounds in 7 minutes. And to be honest, even someone like me, after a while, I start to believe it. If I listen to it long enough, I will believe it. Because our human nature is to hear all the advertising and the people that spend billions of dollars right now, all focused on this time of year, to tell me that I need something in order to have worth. So if you come into tonight in the last 7 days, and maybe a few days before that have just been you telling yourself, man, I gotta do something different. It's not about God transforming me, but I actually have to do something. I have to make myself look a certain way in order to be worthy. That is not God speaking to you. But it's so hard when that lie is pounded into us over and over and over again. Look, if you come into the season and you make a healthy New Year's resolution because there are some things that you want healthiness and wholeness in your life. You want more of God in the life that He has for you. You want Him to renew you this season. And you may want to do some things. Okay, look, if you want to go and you want to work out a bunch, because working out feels good and it gives you energy, and you like the way you feel when you're moving your body in a healthy way, then go do it. I'm excited for you. And if you want to go make a resolution about eating healthy because you just like the way that when you eat certain foods, you just feel a little better about yourself, that's awesome. I'm all for you making a healthy resolution. But the moment that you start to think that you need to do that and take some crazy diet thing in order to be somebody that is worthy and has worth in this world, you're missing what God is doing. Bad message this time of year. All right, I got to get to the message or we're never going to get there. You know, when I think about my break, my Christmas, like the question we get a lot right now, what'd you do over break? It was kind of a mixed bag for me, okay? Anytime you lose somebody close to you in your life, you get to holidays and it feels kind of disconnected. And maybe some of you guys experienced that. Some of us are excited about the quarter. That's fine. Some of us are nervous about the quarter. Some of us just can't wait and hope that it snows for 3 weeks. That's awesome. But some of us are coming off a season of going into break where it wasn't everything we thought it was going to be. Or there was someone missing in our life or our family, and we noticed it. And so it was a little bit hard. If you come back and that was a little hard, that's okay. You're welcome in this place. We're excited that you're here. You don't have to have it all figured out to be here. For me, there was there were some cool things, there were some hard things, but one thing is that I did over break is my wife Rachel and I drove over to right outside of Pullman, Washington. There is I know, why would anyone go to Pullman? I don't know. But right outside of Pullman, small town of 500 people called Garfield that my grandparents live, okay? They were born and raised, and my grandpa, this is actually kind of sad, but my grandpa has been struggling with cancer for about 6 months. And he's 87 years old, has a big tumor, and has really deteriorated a lot in the fall. And we didn't have plans to go over and see him and my grandma, but my mom and dad said, hey, this will probably be his last month or two that he is around. And so it'd be really good if you went and saw him. And so here's a picture of just Rachel and I with my grandma and grandpa. And it was a really, this is this tension that we fight a lot. It was a really hard time for me because when I left there, I didn't know if it was the last time I was ever going to be saying goodbye to him. But when I was there, my grandpa, who's 87 years old and who's been to church about 4 times in his whole life, asked me if I would baptize him. And first I said, Grandpa, do you know what baptism means? Because baptism is not going to save you. But is the same God that I know and love, is this Jesus, is this somebody that you know? And he calls me Michael, but that's fine. Michael, I've always kind of known of God, and I feel like I have known God, and I haven't always found like a church is the place for me to hang out in. But everything that I see in my family and all these people that love Jesus around me, this is what I want. And I don't know if it's too late, but I want to give my life to him. So this next picture is me baptizing him after he gave his life to Jesus over Christmas break, which is a beautiful moment. It's also a moment here knowing this, that you've never gone beyond. You've never lived in your life too long or done too many bad things or been away from Jesus too long to give your life to him. Let him be the Lord of your life. I was really excited about my grandpa, and he's still alive right now and maybe doing good. You can take that down. If I look at it more, I'll start crying up here, and we're just gonna go sideways real quick. But it was a really cool picture to me of no matter if, I know some of us probably come back into this room thinking, hey, I wanna come back to Jesus. Maybe my New Year's resolution, I want a little more God in my life. I'd like to have him come and be Lord of my life, but I don't know, maybe I've done a lot of things. Maybe I'm not welcome. Maybe I'm too far away from him. And if that's you, I just want you to know you are never too far away from him. There's nothing you can do that makes him stop loving you and want you back. And it was really cool to see even my grandpa, who I didn't think would get to that point, say, I want Jesus to be Lord of my life. So I feel like this would be a cool clapping moment if everyone just been like, yeah, Jesus, he's awesome. Thank you. That would make me feel a lot more confidence up here. I would appreciate that. Because here's the deal, Jesus does, he saves, baptism does not, but baptism is a really cool thing that says, hey, I wanna be baptized because I wanna show the outer world what is happening in my life, the way that Jesus has transformed me. And I don't just want to know him, but I want him to be Lord of my life. It's a great signal of I am dying to myself, going underwater, and I wanna live for him now. I want him to be Lord of my life. And so come back next week, actually. We're actually gonna have some baptisms right here at the end. Some students are getting baptized. And if you are one of those people that's been thinking about, hey, maybe I want to get baptized, talk to me at that table that says baptism. It cannot be more clear. After the end, And I would love to talk to you a little bit more about what that might look like for you, whether that is next week, whether you join us here next week and be baptized, or whether you just want to continue to talk about it for a while and get baptized some other week here. I'd love to talk to you more. So with that, we're gonna move into this new series we're starting, and we're calling it The Big Risk this quarter. Okay, it's where we're going, and this quarter we're gonna talk about what it looks like to the risk that it is of trusting God with our life, of giving him all or pieces of our life. And the fact that I want to talk about the risk that is, because it's not easy. And although salvation comes in a moment, the moment we decide to accept Jesus in our life, there's nothing we have to do. That grace is instantaneous in our life. But actually giving him control of our life and wanting him to guide us and making decisions for him rather than us staying in control. Whoever, Brittany, I think, or the control freak earlier, you're gonna have a hard time tonight. I'm just gonna tell you. But some about giving control up to God. That there's that some of us believe that actually can lead to a fullness and a richness of life. But it's a little bit crazy. It is a risk. And I don't know if you're like me ever, but I grew up in a church, and sometimes I've been to church in my life where people just said, hey, just trust God. Or I know it doesn't look good, but just trust God. Or I don't care how you feel right now, you just gotta trust God. And I've always felt trusting God is not like easy. And it's really hard for me just to all of a sudden go from, I barely know who this Jesus guy is, to like, okay, I'm gonna trust him. And I've never liked when people just said, just trust God. Because I don't think all of a sudden, one day we wake up and we didn't really know him that much and we didn't put any faith in him and we never did any action that kind of followed him, and we wake up and we just all of a sudden have faith and trust him with our whole life. That's what we call like quick fix Christianity. Okay, it's the same thing as a quick fix diet. It doesn't work. I'm done talking about diet culture. Okay. But in the same way, okay, we're not here with a quick fix Christianity. And if you came into this room and you thought, hey, I need some quick and easy that is going to make my life much better and easier all the time, I'm gonna be honest, you're probably not gonna find it here. If you're here because you wanna be around a bunch of real people who make a lot of mistakes and are very broken and are coming together as a community to try to see what it might be like to have Jesus be in control rather than us be in control, and struggle with that together and try to find this full, rich life that Jesus offers when we give him our life, but struggle every day when it looks like there are things that are easier and choices that are easier and that seem to give us more instant gratification, and we struggle every day. Whether we're gonna trust God with the decisions of our life or whether we're going to pick the things that might be right in front of us and seem easier. If that is you, welcome to this room. I'm excited. It is a journey. But I believe it's a journey worth taking. And so tonight I'm gonna give us a little bit of an overview of kind of where we're going and how the risks we take might be worth it. And then the next few weeks, we're gonna dive really deep into specific areas of our life that are hard to trust God, but seeing how we might do that together. Joyce is gonna help us out next week and speak to us a little bit more. Come back, we're gonna dive into that specifically. But tonight we'll get a little bit of an overview of what it actually looks like to take that risk. Cool? You with me? All right, let's start with this. I want you to think about this. Are you a risk taker? Scale of 1 to 10. 1, you're like Taylor up here or Brittany, I have to be in control of everything. I do not like to take any risk in my life. If there is even the chance of anything going wrong, of failing, I will not do it. Okay, that's a 1. You're like, I'm a 1. You got that? 10 is like, I don't care what it is. I don't care the stakes. I don't care if there's even much of a reward. Is it risky? I'm in. You're doing something crazy? I'm with you. Okay, 1 to 10. You got a number in your head? This is a participation exercise. Here's what you're gonna do. I'm gonna count to 3. You're gonna hold up the number of fingers that you are. And you're gonna show that to the person next to you, and you're gonna tell them your number. Then you're gonna judge them real quick, and then back. Here we go, ready? 1, 2, 3. Hold up your number, show the person next to you. Look around. All right, that's good enough. Stop judging them. Stop comparing yourself to others. I just got to ask this. Do we have any people that held up 1 or 0? Oh, this is going to be really difficult. I'm going to say some things. You might pee your pants and not ever want to come back. Wherever you're at in this risk scale, we're not asking you to do something crazy. Okay, we're not asking you just to do things that are stupid, go jump off a cliff because it's risky. This is not a series about taking stupid risks. But it is a series where we're going to talk about if we decide to stay in our comfort zone and always need to be in control of our life, that we may miss out on everything that God might have for us. We're going to start with a text that I love in this series. One of my favorite stories of the Bible comes from John 21. Okay, and we're going to read some of this tonight, and then actually in 2 weeks, Chris Thurton will be back to finish up this chapter and talk a little bit more about what's going on in the life of some of these guys. But I want to start by looking at the first half of this chapter 21 in the book of John tonight, and it comes right after Jesus is with his disciples, and they were super excited for him to be king. And the king that they thought he was going to be was one that took over and gave them great power and got them out of oppression. And then when he died on the cross, a lot of them didn't know what to do. And so this comes right after that. It says this: after Jesus appeared again to his disciples, well, I guess after that, by the Sea of Galilee, it happened this way. Simon Peter, Thomas, also known as Didymus, Nathanael from Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and 2 other disciples were together. I'm going out to fish, Simon Peter told them, and they said, we'll go with you. So they went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Early in the morning, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples did not realize that it was Jesus. He called out to them, friends, haven't you any fish? No, they answered. He said, throw your net on the right side of the boat and you will find some. When they did, they were unable to haul the net in because of the large number of fish. Then the disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, it is the Lord. As soon as Simon Peter heard him say, it is the Lord, he wrapped his outer garment around him, for he had taken it off, and jumped into the water. The other disciples followed in the boat, towing the net full of fish. For they were not far from shore, about 100 yards. When they landed, they saw a fire of burning coals there with fish on it and some bread. Jesus said to them, bring some of the fish you have caught. So Simon Peter climbed back into the boat and dragged the net ashore. It was full of large fish, 153. But even with so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, come and have breakfast. Now, at this point, none of the disciples dared ask him, who are you? They knew that it was the Lord. I find this text very interesting. I feel like it is a fantastic picture of Jesus welcoming these guys back into a meal with him. I also think it's a cool miracle. I also think it's odd that Peter covers himself in lots of clothing and then jumps into the water. I also think it feels like abandonment to everyone else that had to get the boat back in. I appreciate his enthusiasm to go see Jesus. I also think not super loyal to all the other guys. But when I read this, I see this after the disciples had kind of scattered and their plan had been torn apart. And to be honest, they go back to fishing because it was just what they knew how to do. Jesus had called them to be fishers of men and to come on this journey with him and to do something different. And as soon as it didn't go that way, as soon as he wasn't leading them anymore, they went back to the thing that they knew how to do, back to the thing that was comfortable. I see that a lot in my life when I try to follow Jesus and it doesn't go the way that I thought it would go. And how many of us come into this room tonight and there's been a time where we've said, okay, I'll trust Jesus with this. And we kind of had an outcome that we pictured in our mind and it didn't go that way. And we thought, what does it look like? I don't know what it looks like to trust Jesus right now. And for these guys, I love that last line too that says, they dared not question him for they knew it was the Lord. And I love their confidence in him, but to be honest, it's not something that I really relate to a ton. I feel like when I look at that and some of the things I've heard about being a follower of Jesus in my life is that I should just maybe hear God and just know it's God. You know people that go, oh man, God told me to do this. And they go do it. And you're like, I'm so excited for you. But how did you know? Like, I don't know. When I think it's God, it might be God. Or it might just be a thought I'm having. Or I might just really want to do that thing. Did God tell me I'm actually in love with that girl? Or do I just really like her? I don't know. I just met her tonight. God might be telling me we're going to get married. Is that God or am I just super excited right now? I don't know. But I look at Peter and I look at these guys and I go, how could they have so much faith? Am I supposed to have that kind of faith? Is that what faith is? Is faith to look around and go, man, I'm certain that that is God. I just know that is God. So I won't even question it. I compare this with the Peter that we see earlier on in the Bible. Because this is after these guys have been with Jesus for 3 years. 3 years they've been walking with him. But if we go back a little bit to Matthew chapter 14, we see a different story of Jesus as he walks on water. And his disciples are all out in a storm in a boat, and Jesus starts coming to them walking on water. And as he does this, another miracle, the miracle of all the fish happens in this, and so they believe that it's him. But this miracle of Jesus walking on water, they're seeing it right in front of them, okay? And put up that text in Matthew. And as they see it, thank you, it says this, as Jesus came to them, Jesus immediately said to them, take courage, it is I, don't be afraid. And then this line comes from Peter, and it's one of my favorite lines in the whole Bible. So pay attention to it. Lord, if it's you, tell me to come on the water. I don't know about you, but I find myself making way more decisions in my life out of this statement than the certainty that the disciples find in John 21. I find way more often I'm here going, God, if it's you, I think this is you. I don't know if it's you. How do I know? How do I risk? How do I have faith in you? How do I trust you? How do I give you things in my life? Because I don't just want to be stupid. I don't just want to make stupid decisions, because already when I make decisions in my life out of trust in you, people are going to question it. My parents aren't going to love all those decisions. Lord, if it's you, this is the place I find myself. And when people ask me how I got here, and I don't think I'm in this perfect spot in my life by any means. People ask me a lot about the journey. How did you know that this was the path for you? When did you hear God's calling in your life to this? I go, I don't really know, to be honest. And a lot of my story is, I graduated from the University of Washington in 2006. I had a construction management degree in hand. Thank you. It's not a huge major. There were 42 in my graduating class. The fact we got at least one in the room, maybe others who didn't say anything. That's okay, we'll go with one. And then that would have been fine. It would have been fine to pursue a job in that. It's a great degree. And some of you guys are getting great degrees, and it's really cool to use that degree and go into that field and do something great in that field. But for me, I really started coming alive in Jesus my last 2 years of college. And my senior year, I was here, my second senior year, I was here, and it's okay, fifth years, we're excited you're here. Yeah, come on. But by fifth year, people kept affirming and encouraging, gifting in me. I had people with me that helped me discern what God's voice sounded like in my life. First of all, don't try to discern God's voice by yourself. Amen. Lesson one for the night, man, when we try to discern it can easily get distorted with what we just want to happen. Regular conversation I have with students. Me and my roommate are having a ton of problems right now. I'm no longer talking to them. I think it would be great to have some good reconciling conversations. If God wanted me to do that, I think he would get me more excited about it. Not judging anyone, just a conversation I regularly have. Tell you what, there's a lot of things that God leads us into that we're not always excited about. I've actually never met anyone that was super excited about a reconciling conversation with a roommate that they hadn't talked to in a while because they refused to ever do their dishes. Okay, and worse things. How are we to tell? What place am I at if I'm in this spot where I go, God, if that's you? Am I trying to make that decision on my own? Also, it's really important to have friends in your life that aren't just going to tell you what you want to hear. And I know this is really hard, especially in a culture like this one of cancellation, where if you tell someone something they don't want to hear, they immediately cancel you. That's a hard world out there. It's hard not to just tell someone what they want to hear because you want to stay in their life. I get that. So I want you to ask yourself, do I have people in my life who are willing to tell me the things even when it's hard? Well, I decided to get back with that guy who treated me horribly, but I'm feeling kind of lonely, so I think it would be nice. So I tell my friends and they say, well, if you want to, sure, go do it. Because you're already on that path and I just want you to like me more. It's fun to have friends. It's even better to have friends who have your best interests in mind. What else? How do we know that is Jesus in our life? What does it mean to trust God when we don't have certainty? The risk here is that it's really hard to find certainty in our life. I was going through this process my senior year and I got invited to apply for this job. Actually, I'll tell you this. I applied for this job to be the director of a ministry just like this in San Antonio, Texas, out of college. And I thought, God is leading me in this way. And people affirmed that gifting. And they said, go do it. And I think that's for you. And I said, okay, I'm going to give up the chance to go make a lot more money in construction management. I'm not going to make my parents super excited because the value in my family has always been, how much money do you make? But I'm going to trust God. I'm going to go do this. And I applied for the job. And I went through the process for 2 months, past graduation. Everyone else in my graduating class already had very high paying jobs right out of college. But I said, no, I'm going to trust God. And then they told me I didn't get the job. And I was sitting around after my 5th year of school with no job in July. How many of you would like to graduate college, have it be mid-July, and have no job? Okay, you don't have to raise your hand. None of us want that. Unless you want to go travel Europe for a while or do something like that. It was an ideal spot. And in that place, I really wanted to go back. That was a really hard one for me not to go back to fishing and say, what did it mean for me to trust God? Did he really have this plan for me? That was a big if that's you, God. Maybe I heard him wrong. Maybe I took the risk of trusting him with something in my life and that wasn't the right risk because it didn't work out the way that I saw it working out in the moment. It wasn't until a month later of me just working odd jobs and painting houses during the summer that I got a call that said, hey, we want you to come start a college ministry down at the University of Alabama. There was someone here from Alabama. And I got a chance to go do that for a couple years and then do some other jobs along the way and kind of keep building. And eventually, I know it might seem different to you than what you might want to do, but this is my dream job. This is what I've dreamed about doing. I'm so honored to be able to be back in this community and here the last couple years and help to lead this community of college students because I love where you guys are at. And along the way of saying yes to multiple different jobs and no to other jobs, there have been very few times where I have felt certain that is exactly, I know for a fact that is what God is calling me into because certainty is a hard place to get to. In fact, most places of certainty don't require any faith in our life. Faith is a risk that has real consequences. And I'm not going to act like it doesn't have real consequences. I know sometimes that's hard and it costs us something. Faith costs us something when we choose to trust God rather than choose the easy thing or the thing we want. And over this quarter, I want you to keep coming back. I want you to see if that cost feels worth it to you for the life that God offers. I'll tell you one thing it's not going to be as we dive into different areas of our life throughout this quarter. It's not going to be a quick fix to anything. It's going to be a journey. I want you to come on that journey with us. I think God has an incredible adventure for all of us that is so much richer than the life of just staying in our comfort zone and staying in a place of certainty. But as long as certainty is going to be our God, it'll be really hard for us to trust God. You know, my favorite thing about winter quarter, which is kind of weird because I don't like winter quarter that much. I love the sun all the time. Like, it's weird I live in Seattle. It could be 85 degrees and sunny till 10 p.m. every single day of the year, and I would be happy. At least a couple other people. I know, some of us love the rain and Seattle, that's fine. But I'll tell you what, I know it's really dark, and I know it's almost the darkest time of the year. But here's why I love winter quarter. Because even though it is dark and some of us get a little depressed and it's a little bit rainy, every day in winter quarter is longer than the day before it. Every day has a little more sun than the day before. It's not much. And if you're thinking, well, you're never gonna notice this quarter, one day to the next. But all of a sudden, we get towards spring break and you're like, wow, it's actually light out when I get out of class. I want to invite you to invite people to walk alongside you this quarter and look at what these really little areas of trust might be for you. Because it may not be the one big risk, but it's probably going to look a lot more like a whole bunch of little moments in life of going, maybe that's God. If it's you, God. And stepping into a lot of these places that we wonder if it's God and see the way he shows up. And even if it doesn't end up the way that we think it's going to in the moment, putting little ways of faith in God is going to lead us toward the place that we experience more of God's power and presence in our life. You know what I love about that text of Peter walking on water? He gets out of that boat and he walks on the water for a little bit. And then he falls into the water. And Jesus, at Jesus' feet, and he picks him up. And he didn't get to the success place that he thought he was going to get, but he got into the arms of Jesus. And my fear is that you will be on a course for success and a course for what the world tells you need to be on. And you'll be so concerned about getting there that you'll get there, but you're gonna miss God along the way. I would rather have us be a community of people, and I would rather have you come alive, and your life may end up looking totally different than what you thought it was going to look like, but if you show up, if you end up in the place where you get Jesus, but you don't get the certainty of life, that's where I want to be. Come back next week. We're going to dive into some specifics on that. I love you guys. I'm going to pray for us tonight. Lord Jesus, it is a risk. God, we should not feel bad or guilty if it's really hard for us to put our trust in you. Because trusting you is one of the hardest things in a world that worships certainty. God, would we be people that are not stupid with our decisions, not careless or reckless with what we do and say, but that we would look to you, put a little bit of faith in you, and the next day, look for little ways to trust you. God, so that on this journey, we might wake up one day like we might wake up this spring and go, wow, this day is a whole lot longer. God, that we may all of a sudden see how we might trust you more with our life than we did today. God, thank you for this journey that you have us all on. We pray all these things in your name. Amen.